Sweden, land of the feels, where feelings trump logic. It's always the same story. When somebody commits a crime here in Sweden, we always ask the same questions. But how was he feeling? Did he have a tough childhood growing up? Was he traumatized by the war he fled from? It's probably our fault as a nation and a community that he committed this crime. It's never the actual person that commits the crime that is to blame. It's always someone else that has to take the blame. It's always feelings over logic. Take Islam, for example. They get special treatment from criticism because every time you criticize their religion, you're called an Islamophobe. For example, the supporters of a football team called AIK was banned from using masks during their game, but burqas are still allowed for religious reasons. So a group called Ultras masked themselves as women wearing burqas and attending to the game. They even wrote a huge banner thanking the Home Minister for the political correctness that is Sweden. Remember the early days in your childhood in class where you were supposed to take off your hat or baseball cap because of the risk of spreading lies? But headscarves were okay because of religious beliefs. Either both are okay or none of them is okay. This is where I think feelings trumps logic. You're allowed to have a headscarf on you, but not to have a baseball cap in class. And for those who mask themselves during a football game as hooligans, they can abuse the system and use burqas instead. I mean, either both are okay or none of them is okay. A terrible murder was committed by a refugee that was denied asylum here in Sweden. He killed a mother and a child in the middle of IKEA in Västerås. Our Prime Minister didn't even fly out and condemn this murder. Instead, he spoke about racism and that Sweden was in dark times because this would only benefit the right-wing extremists. This could have been prevented if only the refugee was detained and not been able to move around freely in our country. But it was argued that it wasn't humanely enough, so instead 2 people were killed. Sweden, the land of feels. Feels over logic. Another refugee was denied asylum here in Sweden and mowed down 4 people with a truck in Stockholm, the capital of Sweden, and the whole Swedish nation goes into mourning. What separates these 2 acts from each other? Besides that it was double the victims in Stockholm than in Västerås. I think it's actually about it's so close to where all the politicians live and the journalists and the elite of people here in Sweden. Because they don't live even close to the 50 no-go zones here in Sweden. Where even not the postal office delivers mail anymore because it's too risky. Why is that? I didn't see any hashtag pray for Västerås. I didn't see anything about hashtag no terrorism, hashtag no to terrorism, or anything shitty like that. I didn't see anyone condemning this murder in IKEA in Västerås like I saw about this horrible terrorist attack in Stockholm. Why was this world news when the murder in IKEA wasn't? I don't understand. Can you guys explain it to me, because I don't understand. Was the life of the mother and child less important than the 4 people that was killed in Stockholm? Because I wouldn't put a value on that, but it was worldwide news, hashtags everywhere. But for the people in Västerås? Hardly nothing. How many more do we need to sacrifice on the altar of political correctness until we realize that we have a problem with our integration and asylum politics? Here are some suggestions. Refugees with no proper identification should be refused entry to our country, and age verification should be a must, no exceptions. And refugees that are denied asylum here in Sweden should be contained in a location like a motel with all the luxuries, but are not able to move freely in our country until they're deported to their main country. This wouldn't solve the problem with terrorism on a global scale, but it would at least make these terrorist attacks non-reoccurring here in Sweden. We need to keep Sweden safe, and the government's job is to keep us safe. But they are doing a very bad job at the moment. But keep on hashtagging about peace, love and understanding, and putting flowers on cop cars, and see if that helps us with our safety here in this country. I highly doubt that.